Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today in Vlašim in the Czech Republic, visiting S&B, Sellier Bellot, one of the biggest ammo manufacturers in the world. And this being the Czech Republic, I thought this would be a good opportunity to bring you a totally modern little concealed carry pocket pistol made, well, designed, manufactured, and marketed here in the Czech Republic. Although it's a gun you can actually sort of get in the US as well. It is the Kevin, a name whose origin I, to be honest, have not been able to figure out. That's a very odd name for a pistol. But in the Czech Republic, this is one of the few countries in Europe where it's reasonably feasible for civilians to get concealed carry permits. And so there is a market for concealed carry pistols in this country. And this pistol was first unveiled in 2007 at the IWA show. It was developed by a gunsmith by the name of Antonín Zendl, who's fairly well known in the Czech Republic, especially for doing accessory parts for the VZ58 rifles. If you look on the internet, it'll say that development began in the 1990s, which is possible, but only if it had about a 10-year development track. And we know for sure it was introduced in 2007, so that's the date that I'm going with. It was then subsequently introduced in 2008 in the United States. Now, it's a little tiny pocket pistol. It is too small to meet US import regulations, and so the way it was sold in the US is that a license was sold to Magnum Research to manufacture this. Now, Magnum Research is the company behind the Desert Eagle, and they have continued on they've expanded their product line, but they call everything a something eagle or Desert Eagle. So this is the micro Desert Eagle in the United States, but it's actually a Czech design from here, available here in two different calibers, 380 ACP, like in the US, and 9mm Makarov. So let me show you up close, because there's a kind of unique, it's not a gas delay system, but it's a unique system here to make the recoil of 9 Makarov in this little tiny pocket pistol a bit more bearable. The two versions here are essentially identical, except that the Kevin M is chambered for 9 Makarov, and the regular Kevin is chambered for 380 Auto. These, of course, are made here, so they're marked made in Czech Republic. Serial numbers, the M serial numbers are for the Makarov caliber guns. They are manufactured, or were manufactured, near Brno in the town of Vsetín by a company called Žebrovka Vsetín, the name of which I'm probably almost butchering, but we'll go with it. And they are identical, so I'm just going to take apart the one of them here. We have a 6-round magazine. They do make extended magazines that hold 8 rounds, and again, this is the same for both calibers. Functionally, this is double action only, like so. It does have sights on it, but it is pretty specifically advertised as being useful up to about 15 meters or about 50 feet. It is a close range pistol. It's not meant to be like an IPSC competition gun. Anyway, to disassemble this, I just pull the barrel back, pull the slide back until this notch lines up with a lug in the barrel, right about there. Then I can rotate the barrel up. So this is sort of shades of like Colt 1903 there. Let's pull the slide off. There are 2 recoil springs that sit along the side of the frame. These are little tiny diameter recoil springs, 2 of them with their guide rods. We have our double action hammer there. There are 2 polymer buffers here that act as, well, impact buffers for the slide. The neat element, though, is here in the barrel. So let me see if I can get the barrel out. There we go. Right in front of the chamber, there are just 2 straight up angled gas holes drilled all the way through the barrel. So as soon as you fire, the moment the bullet only has to go a few millimeters out of the case, and then gas vents directly out of those ports. Here's our 380, and you can see the 2 ports right there, and they're just going to vent right into the slide here, and that's going to do a couple things. In theory, it's going to push the slide forward. I don't know how much that's actually going to happen as opposed to the gas just sort of spraying out. Like, there's nothing to retain it, to push it specifically against the slide. So you might get a little bit of effectiveness there, but probably more importantly, it's going to reduce chamber pressure, it's going to reduce muzzle velocity, which is going to reduce the recoil here. So that's the idea that Zendl came up with. There is one other kind of neat feature here that I haven't seen around before. So let me take this grip panel off and show you. All right, this is not exactly like John Browning level innovation, but the magazine catch spring is actually held in place by the grip panel screw. So that screw right there is going to lock in this flat spring, which hooks into our magazine catch right there. So rather than have a more complicated sort of thing with a little tiny coil spring built into the mag release, it's just sitting right there inside the grips. The rest of this is pretty typical stuff. That's just our double action trigger right there. All right, so these retail for about the equivalent of $500 here in the Czech Republic. There are, aside from the two different calibers, there are a couple of different like finish grades, different colors and that sort of thing. The company that manufactured them essentially seems to have gone out of business in 2013. They apparently had a big contract. A large part of their business came from actually manufacturing 30mm cannon ammunition for the Czech military, and they lost that contract to someone else outside of the Czech Republic. And it appears that that essentially shut down the whole company. Anyway, I thought this was interesting to take a look at, and I'm really curious to know how well this recoil mechanism works. So we're going to take it out on the range and find out.
Right. Out at the range, I'm going to start with the Kevin M. That's 9mm Makarov. I have a paper target at all of 10 feet. And so I ought to be able to at least hit it. Well, that seems pretty effective. It's actually really not nearly as bad as I was expecting from 9 Makarov out of a tiny, tiny little lightweight pistol like this. Remarkable. Now, since I'm visiting here at S&B, I am, of course, using S&B ammo on these. This is pretty standard, 95 grain 9 Mac, 92 grain 380 or 9 Browning. So it's interesting, if you look at this, they had cleaned this gun here at S&B quite nicely before I got to it, and you can see some discoloration and marks from the gas venting out. And in fact, in the shooting footage, you can even see a lot of gas coming out the top of the gun, and that's from these two vents. It's definitely a handful, but it's not as much of a handful. It's like, it's not actually physically painful. It's a sharp recoil, of course, but really not bad. Now, this is the 380 version, and I figured it'd be interesting to try that back to back. 380 is less powerful. Let's see if it actually feels easier to shoot. You know, weirdly, that almost actually hurts more. That's got more kick to it than the 9 Mac, which is unexpected. Shoots just as well. These actually have remarkably decent sights. Of course, I'm also at all of 10 feet. But honestly, as a pocket gun, long double action trigger for safety, pretty much smooth, relatively snag-free gun. I get a little bit of spatter back in my face from debris venting out and then back off the front of the slide, or at least it feels like I do. But not bad. Nice job, Kevin. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.